You got a stance like a pro? I can't believe I got a stance like a pro. I can do it. Let's do this thing.
Welcome to the studios of OlineSkills.com. We want to thank you for purchasing this video series on the protector, how to become an efficient one-on-one pass protector and keep that quarterback's jersey clean. Now let me introduce my partner. He's David Diaz-Infante. I like to call him Doc.
Let me introduce my partner, Mark Schlereth. Stink, Stinko. These are nicknames we've had for a long time. And remember, you're accessing 20-plus years of professional experience, and we've been coached up by some of the best in the business.
Yeah, and we want to impart some of that knowledge onto you in this video series. We're going to teach you how to not just sit back and take it as a pass protector, but how to pass protect aggressively, how to take the fight to the line of scrimmage and to that defensive lineman.
How to dictate tempo and the techniques involved in all the different aspects of one-on-one pass protection.
So you know what? Why don't we go to the field and show them how it's done?
Let's go to the field. We get our work done.
Back at the training facilities of OlineSkills.com. Let's talk a little bit about pass protection. For so long, pass protection was synonymous with passive. But there's a non-passive way to pass protect, isn't there?
That's right, Mark. And some of the great pass protectors that we've known and played with over the years, our guys are able to dictate pace and tempo and be aggressive in the art of protecting the passer.
So David, you've gotten the call from the quarterback in the huddle. You guys break the huddle. What's the first thing you're doing as you walk on the line of scrimmage?
First thing I'm doing, it's called pre-snap read. You know the situation, you know it's a passing play, you're thinking down and distance. Now it's where's the defense lined up and where's the guy lined up over you? Is he inside? Is he head up? Is he outside?
Yeah, because that all affects the angles to the quarterback. If he's inside, you want to make sure you take a set to keep him inside. If he's outside, you want to take a set to make sure you keep him outside because it's about protecting the quarterback and about keeping yourself between the defensive lineman and that quarterback so you can keep him clean.
That's about as basic as it gets. The other thing that's affected by that is it a 3-step, 5-step, or is it a 7-step drop? Because that all affects the angle and the path that the defensive lineman has to take to get to the quarterback.
And you talked about that 3, that 5, that 7-step drop. Also, it's about wash angles and staying behind, something I like to call funneling. You never, ever, as an offensive pass protector, want to jump in the middle of a guy, Doc, because you give him 2 ways to go, the inside and the outside route. And that's not the way you want to do it. What you want to always do is funnel a guy. What I mean by that is if he's on your inside, you want to keep him on your inside. If he's on your outside, you want to keep him on your outside. You want to dictate and force him to go where you as the offensive lineman want him to go. Invite him to go that way and keep him that way.
The other thing that also does is open up passing lanes for the quarterback. That's how a quarterback's allowed to complete those passes. Mark, the other thing we got to talk about is the use of hands. Your hands are a weapon, and it's about holding, and it's about knowing where to go, and using those hands within the framework of the body.
That's exactly right, Doc. It's about punching, and it's about getting aggressive with those hands so that as you have your defender coming at you, you're hitting and you're extending and you're holding all the time. If you hold correctly on the inside part of the body frame, like David said, and you grab in there, you're not going to get called. Where you get called is when you get out here and start grabbing jersey. In here, you're okay. And holding is part of playing offensive lineman. And I know in 12 years of playing in the professional football in the NFL, I held every play, and I know you did the same, David.
Amen to that. It is about holding, but it's also knowing when to let go. The other thing we're going to talk about is the pass sets, Mark, because that's what dictates how you play a defender in the pass protection game.
Right, it's all about teaching right now. What we want to do is we want to teach you the 3-step drop, an aggressive pass set. So let's get to the teaching.
Let's do it.
Sticking on the theme of technique, let's talk about the technique of up kicking. Up kicking is important in your game, and it's a great change of pace, and to be aggressive, not that passive pass protector, but to take that fight to the defensive lineman, David.
Mark, and one of the keys to taking that fight to the defensive lineman and the up kick is quickness out of your stance. It's imperative. You're trying to beat the defensive lineman and get to him before he's ready.
Now you'll see David, as he lines up on this defensive lineman, his feet are going to work in unison. Quickness out of his stance. His head will be back, and as he gains ground on that defensive lineman, he'll keep an inside-out relationship, his head back, and his punch. The punch is imperative. You punch upward, not outward. upward. That's what creates leverage. That's what creates powerful punch. That's what creates the movement off the line of scrimmage.
That's how you stone a defensive lineman.
David, that was a great set. But you know what? At full speed, you can't necessarily see everything you want to see. So let's slow it down and show them step by step exactly how you go about the up kick. What I want you to notice here is David's first step. It's a short jab step that actually gains ground toward the defender. Now his back step. It's coming right along with him so he doesn't get overextended. A short jab step, the feet are working in unison. Imperative in the up kick. Now I want you to look at David's quickness out of his stance. So quick. His head is back, his back is flat, and now lastly, let's look at his hands. How they strike upward on the defender. That's how you create leverage, that's how you stop a defensive lineman straight in his tracks, and that's how you dictate tempo in the passing game. The up kick is an imperative part of any offensive lineman's repertoire, and the sooner you learn how to use it, the better off you're going to be. It took me from being a very good pro player, David, to being a Pro Bowler and All-Pro, just learning how to aggressively take the battle to the defensive line.
Yeah, it helped us both make a living in the National Football League. It allowed you to dictate pace and tempo, but it's something you definitely have to practice and become comfortable with. But Mark, I know that wasn't the only tool in your bag. We also got to talk about the short set, or setting in your shoes when the angle and position of the defensive lineman changes, that an up kick is not the best thing to do.
When a defensive lineman lines up on me wide or he gets distance off the line of scrimmage, I know I can't aggressively go get him because there's too much distance to make up. That's where the short set comes in, David. You've got to lose a little bit of ground, but you want to be quick out of your stance. You want to close the ground to the defensive lineman to where he's lined up, and then you still want to be aggressive with your punch, keeping your head back. Let's show you what it looks like.
Wow, now that's a short set. Notice Mark's footwork. He lost ground with his first step because he wanted to maintain the right angle between the defensive lineman and the quarterback. You notice he brought his back foot and his punch. Shoulders back, head up, aggressive with his punch, and still be an aggressive player in pass protection.
Let's take that live action. Let's slow it down so David can teach what the short set really is.
Notice Mark's eyes, too. He is focused on the opponent's numbers, not his eyes, not his helmet. His numbers will dictate where his body's going to go. Notice his first step. He loses just a little bit of ground to maintain the proper angle between the defensive lineman and the quarterback. Now, focus on his back foot. Watch how his back foot comes to maintain proper width in his stance and his body position. You can't be overextended. You can't get too wide. Now also, notice Mark's shoulders. They're back, his head is up, and his punch is out and up, which allows him to redirect the energy of the defensive lineman. That's one of the key elements of protecting the passer. Boy, Mark, those are some great short sets and setting in your shoes because the angle of the defensive lineman has changed in relationship to the quarterback, so the up kick wasn't necessarily the proper technique to use right there. But before we go outside of the tackle, let's talk about the center position because it's basically the same as his guard, except for you have to snap the football and it involves a little bit more technique.
Definitely, Doc. You can both go from the up kick to the short set from the center position, but you have to snap the ball, and the only real difference in these two techniques is what you're doing with that backhand, because that backhand becomes your lead hand and your guide hand because it's got to be the first hand to make contact with the defensive lineman. Let's show them what it looks like, Doc.
Mark, the one thing I always thought about at the center position was always ball up first. It is key because if they don't get the ball, you can't run the play. So ball up first and then your offhand, because that's what allows you to create an advantage with the disadvantage of snapping the football.
When you're playing center, it becomes a punch-punch technique. You punch with the offhand first, you bring your backhand that snap the ball second. That's really the only difference. Other than that, the footwork is the same. Everything else is the same to the short set and the up kick. You've got to have great hands to play the center position, David. Dave, we talked about the aggressive nature of the up kick. We've talked about setting in your shoes. But now let's talk about where the rubber meets the road. It's 3rd down and 12. Everybody in the stadium knows it's a pass. Your quarterback is called a 7-step drop. You've got to funnel that defensive lineman away from the quarterback. It is the toughest scenario there is in all of football. I don't care what anybody says.
That's right, because the width of the defensive end has changed and the depth of the quarterback has changed. So technique is paramount. Whether you're a guard that's uncovered or tackle against a wide rush end, it becomes very important to be a good technician.
One of the things I think you've got to keep in mind when you're playing offensive tackle is you want on those 7-step drops to keep your shoulders parallel, square to the line of scrimmage, because you don't want to give your defensive lineman a two-way go. Let's show people what it looks like when you open up your shoulders. David's going to play offensive tackle. His set, he opens up his shoulders. Now, what has he done? He's invited an inside move, rip, or swim. He's invited the outside move, rip, and collapse the pocket. Or he's also invited the one thing that all us offensive linemen hate. He's invited the head down bull rush, just to push the offensive tackle into the line of scrimmage. So let's show what a good set looks like and what it entails to keep those shoulders square and to invite that defensive lineman to rush up the field and take him out of the picture.
Let's talk about your stance too. At offensive tackle, you can go from a 2-point stance or a 3-point stance. It's important to use whichever one gives you an advantage for that particular down and distance.
As David sets up, notice his shoulders are going to stay square to the line of scrimmage. He is going to lose ground in relationship to the defensive lineman. He wants to pick a target, that inside number with his eyes. As he sets, you're going to see all these things come to fruition. Now look at him. He's in perfect position. His shoulders have opened a little bit, but they stayed square up until the point where he's about ready to make contact. Now, if the defensive lineman comes inside, he's in good position to push and wash him back into the line of scrimmage. If the defensive lineman comes outside, now he's in good position to wash him further than he wants to go, knowing the only thing the defensive lineman can do is to come back on him. He's in perfect position, and that's exactly how you want to play offensive tackle at any level. Now listen to this. Let's go down to the teaching part. So let's do some live sets. Let's slow it down so people can see what the footwork looks like and what the hands look like. Notice David out of his stance. Quickness. He's up, his eyes are focused on an inside target, his feet working in unison as he takes the pass set. Now as he takes the pass set, inside out, funneling the defensive lineman to the outside, further than he wants to go. Let's look at David defeating an inside move. Same thing, quickness out of the stance. His eyes are in position. He's on an inside-out relationship. His shoulders are square to the line of scrimmage. As the defensive lineman makes contact and tries to come back inside, David steps up, that inside leg and that inside hand are strong, and he pushes that defensive lineman back in the line of scrimmage, what we call a wash-by. That's how you play offensive tackle at any level. Hey, from the guys here at OLineSkills.com, we thank you for purchasing this video. And we know that if you watch it and you study it, you'll become the best you can be, whether it's a player or a coach.
Remember, repeat it, practice it. The techniques in these series will help you become a better player in the trenches.
That's right. These techniques are timeless and they'll be good forever. So continue to review it and continue to go to our website at OLineSkills.com, where we want to continue to produce videos that will help you become the best that you can be.
Questions, comments, emails, let us know an area that you're stuck with or have concerns about. We'd love to help you out.
Remember, right here at OLineSkills.com, our motto, developing the mind, the body, and the soul of the truly skilled athlete, the offensive line.
That's right.
Blue 80, you got a stance like a pro? D, I can't believe I got a stance like a pro. I can do it. Let's do this thing.
Back at the training facilities of OLineSkills.com. David, I get so excited about the proper stance. I get so excited about the power that you can generate. So let's slow it down and show them step by step exactly.
That's how you stone a defensive lineman.
Ready? Break!